Hello and welcome. This is The Art of Giving Up, your podcast for giving up bad days, bad ways, unfortunate habits, bad relationships, bad friendships, bad everything, because sometimes you gotta give up something. As always, I'm your host, Steven, and I want to thank you. Yes, you. For joining me in this, my journey of self-discovery, of growth, and of passion. First real episode, feels like almost of the year. And shit, I have a lot to say. So I guess let's jump right into it. I'm going to keep these short, and I'm going to keep my ideas as concise as possible. And I just want to hit you with this. I never got a chance to talk about the COVID-19. I did a podcast with Chandler Phillips over on Was That in Good Taste that we did on his roof. I think I'm going to actually repost that here on this feed. Maybe it'll be up already by the time you hear this. I think that I'll probably do that because, it's very interesting to listen to what we had to say then, what I have to say now, and when Chandler comes back into the city, what he has to say, because he went away to do something, and I've been all up my own shit too much to pull myself away from my own madness and try to record something. This format is going to be the same but different. I think I'm going to be doing the same shit, and we'll see what happens. So, COVID fucking sucks, yes. This is the truth. This is just how it kind of boils out to. I live here in New York, and I personally, I've not been diagnosed with it, but, I was very ill in February along with the rest of my family. And, a coworker who I worked with who, it's actually, I can't even believe what I'm going to say, but Librato, who was always a kind freaking person, who was always so chill, and he would teach me stuff, and he would be really fun to talk to. He'd play jokes. A father, a husband. He passed away from the COVID about a week before we locked the city down. He just wasn't feeling well, and then the day after, it was my day off, and then he went to the hospital, and then he passed away. And I know that I'm not the only person with the story like that. I'm not the only person who's been affected by or knows someone who's passed away, and it's hard and it's very difficult, and I feel like ever since February my breathing has been it's just not been good, and I feel like, we're hearing tales of people get COVID and survive, and if they're young, they're getting severe respiratory damage that might last the rest of their lives, and I don't know. Working near Broadway and seeing Broadway shut down and the entire city shuttered, and being one of the few people who still worked every single day, and kind of really experiencing what it feels like to be in the New York City transit system in the middle of the day when there's no one on it, and the subway system being shut down between 1 and 5 every night to be cleaned. Hand sanitizer installed in the subway systems now, with social distancing cues on the walls, on the floors, on the ceilings, and on the booths where the ticket agents are, where they're not allowed to dispense or give any money. They just are allowed to give you information via the little speaker. It's very difficult to explain what it feels like to be here in this city, to experience life this way, because it's different. And I'm old enough, and if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you'll know that I've been directly influenced affected by 9/11, and well, yeah, this is a very similar change that I'm feeling in the air, because on the day of I'm gonna get myself canceled. But fuck it, my mother worked there. My life was turned upside down or destroyed by it, or depends on how I feel about it that day. But it feels like when the planes hit those towers, almost immediately, the world that we lived in changed, and this is something of the same level. This is a global pandemic, not something, you hear about Ebola, but it's like in, Eastern Africa, Western Africa, or anything like that. This is something that is affecting everyone. We're all dealing with it. We're all dealing with the pain and the loss, and it's very political, but I don't really want to get political here, because I don't think that wearing a mask is political. I don't think that being concerned about others and doing things, I don't think that's political. If anything, I think that we need to take politics kind of out of what's going on with this pandemic, because it's not over yet. And I know that I live in New York, and we've entered phase 2, which allows for restaurants to have like outside seating, and now you stay at home has been you don't have to stay at home, but they encourage you to only stay in groups of 10 at max, and blah blah blah, and movie theaters still closed, hair salons, barbershops, and things like that. And when phase 3 happens in 2 weeks, there are going to be limitations put on the amount of tables restaurants I'd be able to have inside. In Long Island, which is in phase 3, nail salons there have to install a partition between the stylist and the customer. This is not, just going back to normal. This is definitely a transitional thing, but we're seeing, the amount of COVID cases, the SARS-CoV-2, I think is the correct name, in Florida, and you're seeing them rolling back, in Texas, closing down bars and things like that, because this is what they're calling the first wave, and we're on the tail end, and the number of cases in the country has not dipped. In New York City, and in the state of New York it has, but it hasn't in the city. Pardon me. Talking about COVID just makes me want to fucking kill myself and go to sleep. I take that back. I don't mean that. Yeah. So we're just looking at this, and it's very political, but wear a mask. That's it. Wear a flippin' frickin' mask. You gotta do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Even, so when, the protests for George Floyd were going on, they imposed a really poorly thought out curfew, and try to curtail the protesting, which I think really only bolstered the protesters, because you're like, you can't go out there to protest, and that's just like fighting the man. So the protesters, of course, they're gonna rally against the man, right? But yeah, but I remember the last day of the curfew was a Sunday. On the morning, Governor Cuomo said, hey, we're actually not going. I think they realized what they're going to do. Also because the riots, except for it wasn't really riots. It was like protests, and there was a little bit of madness on the first day, but nothing too ridiculous. I mean, yes, things happen, but so that day they lifted the curfew, and even though we had not even entered phase 1, even though the stay-at-home order was still in effect and mandatory masks and et cetera, but all these businesses had tables outside. All these tables had all these businesses had tables on the curb and stuff like that, and people were just walking around without masks, just living their life. And I think especially for young people, it's easy to remember, well, easy to forget, oh boy, I think it got me in the brain, that even if you feel invulnerable, we really have to do what we can to think about other people. Because it's not really just about us. There are a lot of stories of people being harmed. Immunodeficient people, the elderly, people with core morbidities, which, by the way, obesity is one of those, and this is America. Asthma is one of them. Diabetes, high blood pressure, there are a lot of core morbidities that make people susceptible to the SARS-CoV-2. And guess what? This is a very densely packed city. And wherever you live, you have people you care about, and friends and family, and they have family. We need to be very considerate of each other. I saw a meme about how face masks are the new bra. Like, we have to wear when we're outside. We don't wear inside. And when we don't wear when outside, people are like, wow. Because we need to hold each other accountable. So I'm holding you accountable. And I'm not trying to get preachy, but, as somebody who works in retail and has people trying to come in my store all the time without face masks, seeing because my store is under a residential building, seeing people, the older people in the building coming out in masks and being surrounded by people, young people out there drinking, living their lives, possibly exposing these older folk to this threatening virus. There is no vaccine yet. There may never be. This is the fact of the matter. There's nothing that we can do right now but be considerate of others. And remember, when you are hand sanitizing your hands and you're washing your hands correctly and singing happy birthday 3 times, right? And you're freaking, one more extra time because it gotta be extra good, right? When you're wearing a face mask, it's not for you. You are working to protect others, and you should expect people to do what they can to stop the spread towards you. And I know I'm not getting paid by something to be like, remember, wear your masks. No. I want you to wear your mask because I have people that I care about who are immunocompromised. I want you to wear your mask because I don't feel super great. And I had bronchitis last year and my breathing has been super great and I just don't want to die. I want you to wear your mask because your older neighbor could pass away because of this. I want you to do what's best not for you, because that is what I expect from people who listen to this podcast, to be better than me, to be more considerate than I am, to be better than me. And I am a jerk. And I'm imperfect. But one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to expose people willy-nilly to a sickness because I am careless. You're awesome. I appreciate you. Wear a damn mask. Wash your damn hands. Do what you have to do. Please. As always, this has been The Art of Giving Up. I'm your host, Steven. You can reach me at artofgivinguppodcast@gmail.com. A Habit of Wellness on Facebook. YouTube.com/Habit of Wellness. As always, I love you. You're amazing. Wear your damn mask. Wash your damn hands. I know things seem great, but you don't have to hang out with all your friends. Get used to Zooming. Be cautious. Be careful. Not just for you. It's not all about you. Peace.